Hi everybody, just wanted to do a let's react to this video about the cosmic armor. I'm going to try to debunk a few things that this YouTuber has said. It's going to be fun.
We will give you part of the bleed, which is like extra dimensional space.
Oh god, okay, bleed space is not a reference to some kind of physics-based fluid or extra-dimensional space. Bleed space is the metaphysical stuff that carries the differences between author canons and continuity in DC Comics. It transcends archetypal immaterial realms like the Sphere of Gods. Here you can see that the author says that bleed space carries both Marvel and DC Comics, as well as all the other fictions as well. And here's just a little video of the authors and editors explaining this live in video.
The cab, and we were talking about how to do something special that made all continuity fluid and all stories were accurate, whether or not they fit in continuity at all. They still had meaning, they still had importance.
So he gets put into an armor infused with Ultraman, who's like the bad Superman. They end up in limbo, going on a mission, and they meet Quantum Superman, who's stupid strong. I need to feature him on the channel soon.
If you're going to talk about the cosmic armor, you really can't gloss over all of the feats of Captain Allen. I'm going to have to go over just the basics and let everybody know the significance of what Captain Allen achieved and how that correlates to the power of cosmic armor. To begin, Captain Allen was already one of the most powerful DC reality warpers before he got to Limbo, and once he got there he found out how to contact the Overvoid, and for some reason I guess he just decides to merge with the meta-continuity of DC Comics itself, which is Limbo. Limbo is literally DC Comics continuity. He merged with that and became the reason for conflict, for story, for why DC is set up the way it is. And this character, who merged with the concept of DC continuity itself, said the cosmic armor is the only chance that they had against Mandrake. So it's really unfair to just gloss over all of that information to begin with.
But anyways, they get all this. He gets put into the armor. Basically, the reason they wanted Superman is his narrative they found was something that could compete with the idea of Mandrake, who was destroying everything, right? He was a threat to the multiverse.
Yeah, no, sorry, that's not at all what happened here. The reason why the monitors chose the story of Superman to pilot the cosmic armor was because the ultimate concept of hope and heroism and of winning against impossible odds was embodied best by Superman. So they felt that Superman had the best shot of beating Mandrake while piloting the armor.
Monitor gone mad, basically. And when Cosmic Armor Superman becomes this weaponized hyper story, basically a shortened version of the story of Superman.
I legitimately don't understand how you came to this conclusion that the cosmic armor is hyper story. Hyper story was clearly trying to kill the cosmic armor. The hyper story is actually the Overvoid running through its own story and forcing both Mandrake and the cosmic armor to battle each other so the Overvoid can figure everything out. That's the context of what hyper story is. It's literally trying to kill the cosmic armor, and it says so right on the comic panel.
Donning this armor, becoming this thought robot, right? His narrative kind of contained in there somewhat, altered and contained to a hyper story. It can't be the real story, obviously, because Superman's a complete story. And they already stated you can't just completely change it. So this is a version of it. And this character,
the cosmic armor Superman, is not a variant of Superman. It is actually the concept of story that the Overvoid looked at originally during its first run with the Flaw. It is the personified visual of the concept of story, and the Overvoid preferred to see it as a giant Superman suit because the first story that it ever noticed was the story of Superman.
Basically was writing himself to be stronger, like passively, as he was fighting Mandrake. He needed to be strong enough to defeat Mandrake. Mandrake's like this multiversal, he was acting like a multiversal vampire at that point.
Mandrake is far beyond just multiversal tier. Here Metron says that Mandrake is far beyond Darkseid, who just crippled the entire multiverse. And he is also the real god, apparently, according to the omniscient book of Limbo. And that's because, of course, he is part of the Overvoid. In a depowered state, he ate the Fatalist, who is on par with the Spectre, who has remade the entire multiverse, I think twice so far in DC Comics. Dax Novu is Mandrake, and Mandrake is the guy who mapped the entire DC flaw. He drilled right through the Sphere of Gods and right through the Silver City, and nobody could stop him. And that was before he started consuming Bleed Space. And of course, we found out in the Unexpected 2018 series that Bleed Space is actually refined into Element X. Element X is just refined Bleed Space in various conditions, and just one little piece of it is capable of resetting the entire infinite multiversal DC space. Just one little piece of it, one drop of it, is infinite multiversal. And Mandrake and the other No Monitors were consuming infinite volumes of this stuff for an unknown infinite amount of time that really doesn't apply to physics-based time. So just to say that Mandrake is just merely a multiversal entity is a serious downplay of his power.
He literally told the reader he could hear them turning the pages.
He literally didn't. The Cosmic Armor felt the Overvoid holding the Continuum, not the reader. The reader is way below him on Earth 33, and the Overvoid is above him. The Overvoid is the immense unknowable thing that is being spoken of here. Okay, so this video is long enough. I think I've proven my point here. I just want to go over the basics again. Back in 2014's The Multiversity, you can see that the Overvoid considers everything else but itself as a flaw. Everything that perfection is not is a flaw, and this entire flaw is what infected the Overvoid. Now remember, the Overvoid contains Marvel, DC, Archie's multiverse, and every other fiction possible. If we skip forward to 18's Milk Wars, I believe, the Overvoid is said to contain even the meta-authors and the entire comic series that you just read. The entire Milk Wars series. It contains the Eonimus as well. So if we jump backwards back to Final Crisis, we can see that even these monitors, who are basically the thoughts of the Overvoid, intended to detail and map everything else after Dax Novu failed to complete his task for the Overvoid. That even the nil monitors are speculating on what the Cosmic Armor is. They have no clue what it actually is. The Cosmic Armor is the flaw itself. It is the embodiment of all things with story. Everything that the Overvoid is not is the armor. So I just want to make this clear once again. With no precedent for the concept story, the Overvoid was infected by story. And on the very same page at the bottom, it gives us a little bit more context. The mystery of the Silent Sentinel haunts Monitor, infects the Immaculate Intelligence with questions, speculations, pestilential crawling narratives. So it was the Cosmic Armor that actually infected the Overvoid. The concept of story was visualized by the Overvoid as a giant suit of armor that looks a lot like Superman, because again, the very first story that Overvoid noticed in the flaw was the story of Superman. And that just about does it. Thanks for watching, everybody.